Hyde Park, Vermont is picture-perfect small-town New England, Jeff.
It definitely is, Ray. And we're pretty far up north here in Vermont, just about 30 miles south of the Canadian border.
There's some rolling hills in the distance, and we're coming up on, well, it looks like fairgrounds.
Yep, that's our destination. Ray, you can pull in right up here.
Got it. All right, I could see some barn-like buildings, a concession stand, a gazebo, plenty of wide-open fields, some fenced-in areas for animals, though there's no animals here today.
Right.
I mean, it looks like a big fairground.
It is. It's a place to gather and see the local spectacles. It's also a place where something significant happened at one of the most famous county fairs in this region. We've come to Hyde Park, Vermont, to search for a missing hot air balloon. Hey, I'm Jeff Belanger.
And I'm Ray Auger. Welcome to episode 364 of the New England Legends podcast. Thanks for joining us as we search for ghosts, monsters, UFOs, roadside oddities, true crimes, and weird history in the northeastern United States. Be sure to visit our website to contact us with your story ideas and to see Jeff's dates for his fall tour and to see my band, the Pup Kings.
We'll go looking for the missing hot air balloon right after this word from our sponsor.
Hot air balloons are big things, Jeff.
They are.
I feel like it'd be tough to lose one.
Yeah, it would.
So here's a little more background on Hyde Park. The town got its charter back in 1781, and it's the county seat for Lamoille County. The town's population today is about 3,000 people. It's a quiet area with plenty of farms.
So events like the county fair would be a big deal.
I can imagine it'd be an event no one around here would want to miss.
True today and true a century and a half ago, back when they lost a hot air balloon.
Now, just to be clear, we're talking about a hot air balloon that can carry people up into the sky.
Yep, that's the one.
The first balloon flight happened back on September 19, 1783. A French scientist launched a hot air balloon with a sheep, duck, and a rooster as the passengers.
Okay.
The balloon remained airborne for 15 minutes before crashing into the ground. About 2 months later, on November 21st, two French brothers became the first people to fly in one. They took off from Paris, flew about 20 minutes before landing safely. Hot air balloons have been a part of our skylines ever since.
That they have.
But you don't hear about losing them. They're huge.
That's true, too. To find out how this one was lost, let's head back to the year 1873.
It's July 4th, 1873, here at the town fairgrounds of Hyde Park, Vermont. Ulysses S. Grant is in the White House. The American economy is recovering now that the Civil War is almost a decade in the past. And folks in Lamoille County, Vermont, are celebrating America's birthday.
And the fairgrounds are a lively place today. Even though it's cloudy, that's not dampening the spirits of anyone around here. There are animals, there's pony rides, and vendors are selling all kinds of food.
It looks like there's an ox pull happening over that way.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This place is mobbed. I think everyone in northern Vermont is here.
No doubt. This is the biggest event of the year.
Oh, look over there. There's a hot air balloon filling up.
Now, the balloon's creating quite a stir here at the fairgrounds. Everyone is crowding in to get a closer look. Now, balloon flight's been around for almost a century at this point, but it's a rare sight around northern Vermont. In fact, for most of the people here, this is the first one they've ever seen in person.
With the balloon full and the basket attached, the crowd eagerly awaits the flight.
Oh, look. Here comes the pilot. Professor Frank King. He's climbing into the basket just below the balloon. I can see he's packed a lunch. He's got an overcoat. And inside the basket, there's 3 big bags of ballast. All right, I can see, King's waving to the crowd who are pushing as close as they can to get an even closer look.
The police have their hands full holding back the crowd.
Hey, what time is it, Ray?
2 o'clock on the nose.
And with that, the band is playing. And Professor King just dropped a bag of ballast over the side. So the balloon's shifting a little, but that's about it.
Okay, he just threw another bag of ballast over the side. Now the balloon is drifting upwards, but only about 6 feet or so. And he just threw the 3rd bag of ballast overboard. Now he's rising up.
And he's off. There he goes. This is exciting. King is rising higher and higher and heading north. For close to an hour, the crowd watches the balloon get smaller and smaller as it drifts high into the sky to the north. By 3 o'clock, no one could see it anymore.
The plan is for him to return and touch down in the fairgrounds again.
4 o'clock comes and goes. 5 o'clock. There's no sign of King or his balloon.
Folks around here are nervous. This was not part of the plan. Still, some figure maybe he was blown a bit off course, landed in the next town or something like that. There's no cause for alarm. As night falls, there's still no word from Professor King. No one has seen the balloon either.
It's now July 5th. The church bells are ringing to call folks to the town square. They're going to form a search party and look for Professor King.
Within a few hours, hundreds of men have gathered from Hyde Park, Morrisville, North Walcott, and Eden. Soon, the search party heads north.
Oh, man. We've been walking for hours, heading north of the fairground.
Yeah, this is tough going. I'm not sure that...
Wait. Look up there.
Where? I don't see anything.
Over there, by those trees.
It's a balloon. Or what's left of it. I can see the basket is hanging by the balloon that's stuck between two trees. There's nothing left in the balloon, just the fabric. I don't see any sign of Professor King.
And look in here. The basket's totally empty. I mean, he had a few items with him when he took off. If he'd fallen out, you'd think they would still be in the basket. Maybe he's nearby.
Professor
King!
Professor King!
Hello! It's going to get dark soon. We better head back to town.
Professor King has been missing for a day and a half now. At least it's summer, and the temperatures have been pretty mild.
It's July 7th. Professor King has been missing for 3 days now. People are losing hope. I mean, maybe he fell out and his body is far from where the remains of the balloon are, or maybe he ran off.
Well, that wouldn't make much sense. He's not in any trouble that anyone knows of. Wait a minute. Look over there.
I see a disheveled man. He's walking into town. I think that's him, Professor King.
Wow, he looks pretty rough, though. He's clearly been bitten by many mosquitoes. His pants are ripped, too.
I mean, he's haggard and scratched up, but it looks like he's okay. Professor, what happened?
After I had been ascending for close to an hour, I had spectacular views of the fairgrounds. Suddenly, I encountered a thunderstorm. An updraft quickly carried me higher into the clouds. The wind pulled my balloon 2.5 miles higher to where the rain turned to snow because it was so very cold. As snow stuck to the balloon, the weight began to carry me downward at a high rate of speed. I threw my lunch overboard and anything else in the basket to lighten the load. I soon found myself over a forest unfamiliar to me. The balloon wobbled on the descent until it struck some trees and exploded. I was sprung from the basket and managed to grab hold of a branch and slide to the ground. I had been so concerned with my landing that I failed to notice my surroundings. I had no idea in which direction to walk.
Professor King goes on to describe how he walked the entire following day. He found a clearing, followed a ridgeline, and then at the end of the day, found himself back at his balloon wreckage. The day after that, he found a mill and followed the trail until it turned into a road. He finally encountered 4 men who were searching for him, who finally gave him some much-needed food, and then they brought him to a nearby house where he regained his strength before returning to Hyde Park. And that brings us back to today. Professor King wrote about his survival experience in the July 9th, 1873 Lemoyne News-Dealer newspaper. He professed his gratitude for the local people doing so much to help a stranger.
I love when you hear stories like this. A tragedy strikes and everyone comes together to try and help. Thankfully, this one also had a happy ending.
That it did. I mean, today with cell phones, GPS, drones, radar, losing a balloon like this really wouldn't happen. Professor King truly was an intrepid explorer, rising up into the air where not too many had gone before. Knowing the dangers, but going anyway. I think we take all of that for granted today when it comes to flight. We expect those who go up, whether in a balloon, an airplane, or a rocket, will come down safely. But we also know from endless news headlines that we don't always reach our destinations. But this I do know. If the worst should happen, there will always be perfect strangers who step up to help because they know it could have been them or someone they love.
So true. And that takes us to After the Legend, where we take a deeper dive into this week's story and sometimes veer off course, like Professor King's balloon.
That's so true. After the Legend's brought to you by our Patreon patrons. We say it every time because it's true. We can't do this without our Patreon patrons. Bringing you 2 stories each week takes a lot of time and money. They help us with our hosting costs, travel, marketing, everything else it takes to bring you the weird. Most people won't sign up, so we're hoping you'll join us in a place where you'll get early ad-free access to new episodes, plus bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear. It's just $3 per month. It's like buying me and Ray a cup of coffee that we'd have to split. Head to patreon.com/New England Legends to sign up. And to see some pictures of the fairgrounds of Hyde Park, click on the link in our episode description, go to our website and click on episode 364.
I've been to a balloon festival.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Beautiful, right?
I don't know if I want to go into a balloon, though. I don't want to go up. Even the tethered ones.
Yeah.
Actually, I did that in Disney. It went up, I don't know how high.
Sure.
Not too high.
Right.
But I just can't imagine floating freely
Yeah.
in one of those things. It must be amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Sure, yeah.
I just don't know how I'd feel about it.
And most of the time, I'm sure it goes just fine.
Most of the time.
So we take it for granted. You're up there with fire and fabric.
Right, that's it. Fire and fabric.
You're this blazing blowtorch
Yeah.
into a big thing of fabric.
None of it makes sense.
None of it. Right? Like, oops, too much fire.
And who thought of that? Let's get some
The French.
fabric and
Yeah.
we'll get it near some fire and see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah, and at some point they of course filled it with helium
Yeah.
and other gases. Ask the Hindenburg how
Right.
that worked out, right?
Yeah.
that was pretty bad. But this story made me think a little bit about the Boeing Starliner, and Boeing loves it every time you mention their name in regards to the capsule that was on the International Space Station that was supposed to be up there for like 9 days and just got sent back empty as the two astronauts are stranded there until
Crazy.
a different company's rocket goes up and hopefully brings them back safely. And rockets are absolutely something we take for granted, although we can all think of accidents, space shuttle specifically, but there were accidents in rockets too. I forget the mission. I think it was one of the Apollo missions blew up on the launch pad. It caught fire, right?
Yep.
3 people died.
12 maybe? 11 or 12?
One of them, there was a no, I think one of the missions, people died, but we take it for granted. We just assume like, oh, this is the smartest people on Earth built these things, and nothing can go wrong.
Sure.
And that's just not true.
Yeah.
But if you look at the amount of space flights there've been to the number of accidents, I would argue that percentage is way higher than like commercial flights.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because commercial flights, there's thousands and thousands a day, and nothing happens.
Right. And we get nervous about going down in a plane or even a balloon. But think of all the balloons that go up on any given day. But the weather has to be perfect.
So I was on a flight
2
days ago coming from Baltimore. It was late at night, and the flight was delayed an hour. So everybody's kind of cranky because we're going to get home super late, and we have to work the next day. And something happened on that flight that has never happened to me on any flight I've ever been on in my entire life. And it was frightening. First of all, they said, hey, by the way, folks, this plane holds 175 people. There's only 68 of you on board. We literally need you to spread out to distribute the weight. Which
God.
Oh, that's happened to me before.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, no, that doesn't bother me. You can't all sit in the front. You'll literally throw the plane off. The
I
weight.
get that, but how scary is that?
Oh, that didn't scare me. This is not the scary part. So I was like, great. I went way toward the back because I had checked a bag and I knew there's no rush to get off because I'll have to wait for the baggage anyway. So I sat pretty far to the back. I had my own row, not just 3 seats. I mean, all the way across.
Yeah.
I had my own row. And fine, the pilot says, yep, weight's good, we're good, let's go. So we take off. We pass 10,000 feet where you hear that ding, and they say it's safe now to use laptops and approved portable devices. And then the flight attendant starts making her way back to the galley because they're going to start the drink service. They're going to pass around drinks and stuff. All completely normal as every flight goes. So anyway, she's back there maybe less than a minute, and all of a sudden, I hear her scream.
Oh, no.
Blood curdling. Right? And the few of us in the back spin around because we're like, flight attendants don't scream.
No, they don't.
Not in the plane, not on air, not like this.
They don't get excited at all.
No, they're supposed to just be like, oh,
calm. Yes.
Everything's fine. And so we're all like, I mean, now I'm white knuckling. I'm like, why would the flight attendant scream? Why? And then she's looking around and we're all looking at her like, what? And she goes, there's a mouse back here. So then my warped brain goes, oh, okay, sure. Startled her. You don't see mice on airplanes at 10,000 feet.
Then you look over and you see Samuel L. Jackson right there.
Right. Right.
I am tired of these mice on a plane.
You know who eats mice besides cats?
Snakes.
Snakes.
Oh, so that's next.
So now so I'm waiting for the snakes. But then, of course, my brain goes to, what little wires was that mouse chewing? Right? Like, oh, this little red one, it can't be important. Just controls, the tail rudder,
There's got to be plans in place to keep rodents out of a plane, you would think.
I'm like, think of every plane you've ever got on. What opportunity is there for a mouse?
Unless it was in baggage. Maybe there was a snake down there and that was the food.
I don't know. So
That's
anyway,
weird.
But so the flight attendant's screaming. And of course, the other flight attendants come back as if they're just like, "Oh, silly, everything's fine." And I know I could tell they're not thrilled about the mouse either.
Sure, they're beet red.
They're just like
crying.
I don't care for mice, And now I'm waiting for the mouse to run up the plane, like, and have everybody scream as they're lifting their feet.
I would have my feet up for the rest of the.
And I could because I have my own row.
Yeah, right. Kick them up.
I could lay down, recline the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, that happened to me.
I don't like that at all.
We landed safely.
What airline?
I purposely didn't
Tell me off here because I'm not going to fly that airline anymore.
Oh my goodness. What could have happened to anyone?
No.
There's
There's no reason for a rodent to be on a plane.
Yeah.
How high are those in the air?
Almost 40,000 feet.
No. I mean, like off the ground. Like, how does it get in there?
It was a 737.
How does it get in there?
Yeah, it was a jet. It was not like some little tiny prop
It had
plane.
to have come from the terminal.
Yeah.
Made its way down the, what do you call it?
And then my brain just keeps going. I'm like, so I flew from Baltimore to Providence, Rhode Island, and I pictured this little mouse crawling up this teeny little wire. Like, I got family in Providence.
Got a little luggage,
Just
a little suitcase.
I'm like, there could be like a children's book in this or something, or a cartoon.
It was in the back. It was just going to the bathroom.
Yeah,
That's
he's
it.
just like, I had to go. Like, what? This is where we go, right? And then you scream, and now everybody's worried. Is the plane okay? Well, what is it?
He's just as scared.
He's just as
Why are you
scared.
screaming?
Don't scream. Flight attendants don't scream, And so, yeah, we expect it all to be so routine and boring.
Or if it was a mistake, that poor mouse is now living in a different
He's in Providence.
time zone.
He's in Providence, and he's just like, oh, my family's in Baltimore, which for a mouse might as well be like Jupiter.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you think.
How do you figure out how to get back? You're a mouse. You have a small brain.
I tried to talk to him. I'm like, look, I think this plane goes back to Baltimore in the morning.
Stay
Just
here.
stay put. You'll probably get back there.
Yeah.
But it could be going to L.A. I don't know.
That's amazing.
So anyway, that happened to me, and it made me think. I'm like, yeah, you expect any sort of risky venture like that to just be so routine, and so often it's not. But this professor went missing, and the letter's actually quite endearing. Where there was 500 people that went looking for him, and we sort of rushed the story along. But I mean, they searched the woods until finally they found the wreckage.
Yeah.
And imagine, he said, this is his account. This is right out of the newspaper, where he spent an entire day walking and he followed the ridge and and then he goes, and there's my balloon again. Imagine, like,
you see that in horror movies.
24 hours of moving, using calories, not,
You think you're getting ahead. You're like, oh, soon enough, I'll see a road or something.
He said he found streams, so he had water.
Yeah.
But, he didn't really have much to eat. And so imagine a whole day and you're like, oh, oh no. And as you heard him say, as he was crashing, he didn't think to say like, oh, what direction should I walk?
Right.
He was just like,
he's not paying attention.
He's like, how do I survive this?
He had a bird's eye view of like, oh, there's the main road over there.
Yeah.
There's a city over there.
Exactly. Had you just taken a moment to just be like, walk that way if I survive this, he wasn't thinking. He was just thinking, how do
Cell
I
phone
survive?
service must have been horrible too.
Terrible. Like he had the newest iPhone, but not a tower in sight for anywhere.
Yeah, he should have stayed on the ground and presented that as the big thing, not the balloon. Like, look, I have a form of
They'd be like,
conversation.
You have a little tiny rectangle, whatever.
Look
Get in the air. Get up
That's
there.
more exciting.
Get up there and entertain us. And then the balloon crashed, and fortunately he survived and was able to tell the tale.
Hit that subscribe button right now wherever you get your podcasts, because New England Legends is free. And we don't want you to miss any of the wicked, strange stories we cover. Also, please take a minute to post a review for us. Share your favorite episode on social media or tell your friends about us. We're building a community here. We're glad you're a part of it. You can also download our free New England Legends app on your smartphone and join us in our New England Legends Facebook group.
Would like to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much to our Patreon patrons. And our theme music is by John Judd.
Until next time, remember,
The bizarre is closer than you think.